Hey, everybody. I'm going live with Emily Jacobs, Dr. Emily Jacobs. And so we all know it's always awkward at first, but we will make it work. Bear with me. Today, it's super rainy in Michigan. Like, really bad weather. Obviously.
Hi.
Oh my God, it works. Let me just fix where I'm sitting. Hold on. I love this. Yay. Hi, where are you? Are you in your house?
I'm in my house, but it's so dark. I'm like hustling to turn lights on. I'm like,
It's
it's crazy.
crazy. I know. I was just telling everybody there's so much rain. So I'm just like, it's amazing how the weather impacts my emotions and my just mentally. I'm just like, oh God, I wanted to grill today. And I didn't check the weather like an idiot. So I
I
guess.
mean, it's been a tropical summer. Like it's basically, I think we can plan for rain every day. So now we're just working around like when that's going
Seriously,
to happen.
my kids are like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. So we're just going to have to figure out things to do inside. I don't know. It's been crazy. So smile really quickly so we're both smiling at the same time so I can screenshot it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
I love it. You think of everything. I'm like, every time I exit something, I'm like, I didn't grab the shoot.
Yep. And if we're talking at the same time, or if we're talking, always somebody's face always looks weird. And I'm just like, everybody watching, if you're watching, or nobody's watching, which is, whatever. It's just easier for me to grab the screen grab that way. So, and then we both look cute, which is all that matters.
I love it. I love it.
Well, thank you for joining me. I wanted people to know who you are and what is Empowered Moms, because I know there's a huge event coming up in October, and I feel like more moms really need to know who you are and what this event is for. And not just the event, but the monthly or the weekly. Don't you do weekly meetings too?
Monthly.
Okay, so
Yeah, monthly.
the monthlies too.
Yeah.
So let's talk
Yeah.
about the event first, because I want everybody to know about that. And then we'll talk about what else you do, Dr. Emily.
Oh, thank you. Well, thanks for having me. And thank you for, well, obviously you're going to get the shout out too, because Rachel is going to be our content producer, videographer, like literally capturing the image of the event, which is like, just like, I can't say it's one of my favorite parts because the entire event's like my favorite, but obviously it's one of my favorite parts is to be able to go back to it and see. So we held our first event last October, and the whole concept around the event and Empowered Moms is that dreams don't end at motherhood. And the truth is, I think a lot of you know my backstory, but honestly, I had my first daughter kind of later in life, and then it was weird because I had her. I dreamed my whole life of having kids, and then when it finally I became a mom. I'm like, well, I don't know what to do with myself, right? No, naturally, I was a little sleep deprived. I was a little bit like, what's my purpose, right? And my friends and family were like, I mean, you're a mom, and it's like the way that they said it again made me feel like, wait, am I not grateful? Is this not good enough? Is that what they're thinking? Which kind of they were. But the truth was, I knew I was meant to be a mom. Like I could feel it in my bones. And then I also knew I was meant to make an impact and help people and serve people. Like I knew this when I was a kid. Like I saw a bigger picture where like my kids were with me and they came along the side of the journey. And just to add on to that is that I watched my mom give up on dreams and my mom then complain and deteriorate and progressively kind of decline emotionally. And I think that was really hard as a daughter that I'm like, but can't you just change your mind anytime? Can't you just make a new choice? Can't you rewrite your story? And so that's kind of been my mojo since I was a kid. I think we had a really challenging mother-daughter relationship, but I realized that one, it's not for everybody. You know, this even Empowered Moms I know is not for everybody, but it's meant for the mom that loves being a mom most days. Like, you like being a mom, and not a but, like you can have it all sort of, but like you also know that there's something for you, right? There's something that's just for you.
What's so crazy is I was the opposite. I had a mom who did all the things. Like she made having 3 daughters, had a husband, a full-time job, which back in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s was not the thing. Women did not work full time. They were also expected to be like homemakers full time as well. So if they were working, they still had to do all the stuff at home. My mom put herself through school, like had a full time, did all the things, right? And still managed to like sew us matching outfits. I don't understand how she did it. I really don't. Like I still ask her to this day, like, well, like, how did you do this? I didn't want kids. I literally was like, I'm not going to be a mom. I can't do it as well as she did. And like, she didn't have a lot of time with us, right? There were things that she had to miss because if you want to keep the job, especially if you're a woman, because as a woman, if you're a mom, you're seen as a liability, even still today. That hasn't changed. Unfortunately, it sucks. And so I sort of was like, well, I don't want to have kids. And then late in life, I met my husband, and I think there was that time period of, well, it's now or never, right? Like if I'm gonna do it, we're gonna do it. And so we did the thing. I have 3 older stepkids, but we have 2 kids back to back because they hated being pregnant. So I was like, if we're gonna do it again, let's do it now. So like this, like the last 2 years of my life is like quick and easy, and we can get out of the way. But I always put work first, which is crazy because now in retrospect that they're 12 and 13, I regret that. I wish I could have figured out, and I don't know that there's balance. I think you're always like, you've got all the plates in the air, right? And just whichever one is like in your hand at the time is what you're focusing on. I don't know that there's balance. And so it's funny because I never thought I was going to be a mom, didn't want kids, didn't want to do any of this. And now that I am, I feel like this 12 years to 13-year shift of really coming into the space of what being a mom is for us and our family, like who am I as a mom? And taking that workaholic person that I was. And so like, how do I mix that with being a mom now and showing up for them, but also still showing up for myself? And so I love everything that you're saying because it has to do with really both. We're all the things.
Yeah. And I think the truth is that they're, like I said, it's not for everybody. This isn't like, I want people that are in our community, because we do have a community, which I'll talk about, is that it feels empowering to, one, either have something of your own. Doesn't mean you have to be starting a business or anything like that, but you believe that you need some space, right, in this world. And sometimes it means away from your family without guilt. Like, I mean, guilt is natural and normal. It actually means you really care. But like, how do we pull back and help the mom to not lose herself completely in motherhood? And that essentially, like, that's what I was, trying to promote, is you don't have to lose yourself completely. Of course things change. We're a transformation. You go from being not a mom to a mom within seconds, right? And your whole life changes. Well, so then how do you adapt with it?
Flow. It constantly changes. I think in my head it's like, oh, I'm a mom, now this is happening. Oh yeah. And it's like, no, like it's constantly ebbing and flowing. Like I think that was the hard part too, is I was fighting that ebb and flow where I'm like, no, this is how it is. Yeah. And it's like, no, every day is totally different. So I love what you're doing because I think it really gives moms a group to, number one, be in, because who are we if we don't have people that we can lean on and some sort of a community? I think a lot of times we isolate ourselves because we feel guilty for taking time out to meet with other moms or meet with friends or go into the community and do things for ourselves. So I love that you've made it easy too, because it's not always in person. The October event is, but you also have monthly events on Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, really with October, I'll just kind of wrap up what that's all about. Well, I'm hoping to mimic last year, if not make it better. Last year was pretty freaking cool. We had about 100 moms in the room, 20 women-owned business vendors, sponsors, speakers, swag, launched the whole thing. I mean, what I kept hearing after coaching women for many years was, I just need like a day to myself. I'm like, a day to yourself? To me, what that looked like was like to me, I'm like, join forces, let's wrap our arms around each other, let's inspire and motivate, but at the same time take action, right? Because why do we just want one day? And so it's a full day. And I did that for a reason, because I know it's an effort for the mom to make those arrangements, but I wanted to, like, we really try to pour in. At least the vibe we got last year was we want people walking out feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, excited. It's like any other, I used to plan nursing conferences. I was a nurse for a long time. And you get out of these nursing conferences and you're like, I'm going to go change the world. And then we also don't want to leave people hanging. So there's also support after that, right? You get all excited and you're like, but wait, where'd everyone go? And so there's, between all the speakers and myself included, there's multiple different connections you can make by just sitting in the room. So when I say that, sometimes it sounds intimidating, to like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to go alone. if there's even like the slightest bit of you that's like, I think I need to do to go in this room, message me, message Rachel, message any one of us. And well, one, we're going to probably talk you into it, but at least you won't be alone. And I've got some tricks up my sleeve this year where I'm going to really kind of intermingle people that don't know each other, because what I realized last year is there's a lot of people that it was a little bit scary, and they were a little bit like, I didn't know how to meet people, right? I didn't realize that was so hard.
Is that the craziest thing, that now as an adult, it's like, how do we make friends, Dr.
Right.
Like, how do I make a friend? I don't understand how to do this. And then how do you maintain that friendship? There's that one thing with like your old school friends where you're like, 10 years later you can call and be like, nothing changed. Yeah. But there's the everyday people that are around me in my community that it's like, wouldn't it be great if?
Yes.
And it's just incredible like how hard it is. But I feel like when you have a community where people are like-minded and they're going to that space, it's so much easier just to meet people.
Yeah. I mean, and that's essentially, so Empowered Moms, the company, we have all sorts of fun stuff. So we do a monthly virtual networking. So you can just jump on our email list and come to our monthly virtual networking. At least you're kind of meeting people. Yes, it's on a screen, but at least you are, connecting with other people. There's a lot of women-owned businesses in there. And so we're trying to like see, maybe there's a collaboration or a friendship or a connection, or just moms just want to meet other moms. And then we also have a Facebook group. And that's just, a way to connect people. Then we have our Empowered Moms Tribe, which is our membership. It's like less than a cup of coffee a day type of membership fee. But we do a lot more in that. We have master classes. I do hot seat coaching with anyone that shows up. So when you think about weekly, like those are 3 times a month. We kind of do these things. And then anybody can come to our in-person networking events, which are kind of around the I want to say Metro Detroit. Everything's Metro Detroit. Royal Oak, Birmingham, Beverly Hills. That's kind of where I live, so that's where I plan them. But I'm not opposed to, like, we've gone to Detroit before. And I love when women reach out to me and say, how do I get to be a part of those? First, I'm always like, we'll try to come and see if you like it. But then I love shouting out women-owned businesses and mom-owned businesses, because obviously, like, that's where I'm at in life. And I feel like the more we can support each other, the better. And yeah, so that's monthly. Those are always available to anybody. All of our proceeds for those networking events in person go to charities. So I'm always taking recommendations for charities for those. Because really, I mean, networking, I want to give back, and I wanted to find a fun way to do that. So that's kind of like our community in a nutshell.
How do I get involved in all of those things? So say I want to go to the networking event, like the Zoom, the once a month. Maybe I did then decide I want to join the membership. How do I get all that information?
The best place is our email list. So if you jump in on my link in bio on Instagram is my website. And then if you jump in the email list, I do it once a week, and I call it like weekly newsletter, and you'll see all the upcoming things. And then you can decide from there which one to like click on for more information or things like that.
Okay, perfect.
There also, those events are listed in my link in bio too, but then you're constantly searching in there. So I think the email list is just the easier way. So then you get it usually Sunday or Mondays, and then you know what's coming up that month.
I love that. So do you have something coming up on Thursday, right? Is that something that people can still join?
Yes. So our master classes are free for all of we call it like our membership, our tribe. They all get the link in their emails. They have a separate email. Anybody can join our online master classes, and those are like $15. Those are listed also in my link in bio. So yes, anybody can join those. We have featured this Thursday, Kelsey Hogan with Small Batch Social. She is just an expert at, I was going to say digital marketing, but like learning the online space and helping moms, business owners really utilize that to their advantage. So whether it's Instagram, whatever platform you're on, she's just a breadth of knowledge for content, something that you speak a lot about as well. But really, just especially for like business owners and things like that, it is great to join. Yes, anybody can join those.
And it's easy, and it's nice to learn something. I think that there's a lot of things that I didn't realize I didn't know, and there's like a lot of things I didn't realize other people didn't know. Like I've taught classes on all of the things, and there's people looking at me like with blank stares. I'm like, you don't even know how to use a platform that you're literally utilizing to market your business. You have no idea what I'm talking about right now. So that fascinated me, and I learned a lot in the first couple of classes I did, because I realized, wow, I didn't realize how much I knew. That was fascinating. And then I also didn't realize people were utilizing platforms like Meta, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, even Snapchat. Now there's Lemonade. Like all these different platforms, they don't understand how they work. So when people are complaining like, oh, no one's seeing my stuff, it's like, but are you using the system the way it's supposed to be used? Are you utilizing all of the platforms in the way that they can be? And are you utilizing all the steps that they have within? I mean, with just Instagram, there's so many different integrations between your post, your story, threads, and reels, that it's like, are you utilizing, and live and going live? I mean, it's insane. And are you utilizing all of those things? And a lot of people would just look at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh my God, you're spending all this time putting your eggs in the basket, but you don't know how the basket was made. It's like, you have to learn from the beginning that like, there is a theory, there's a method to the madness. So I love that this masterclass that you're doing, because I think it's great. And she'll probably do a way better job than I did at like getting it dumbed down a little bit, because I think a lot of times I just speak over people's heads. So I'm working on that. I'm getting better.
Well, and that's the thing, is that the truth is, at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know. And like, if you are going to be a solo, or if you're going to be an entrepreneur or a business owner, how are you marketing and advertising your business? And that's essentially what it is. So what method are you choosing? And if you're whatever method, maybe you're paying for ads, and maybe you're not doing anything online and you're doing newspaper articles. I don't know what you're doing, but are you learning? Like, you're investing something somewhere. So that's how I look at it. Like, to learn, if I'm using Instagram as my platform to advertise for Empowered Moms, well, how am I using it? Right? Am I using it to the best of its ability? Otherwise, I am literally chasing my tail and wasting my time. Now, obviously, my first year into it, I was like just posting some stuff, and I was like, hi, this is Emily. I'm not a nurse. I'm not doing nursing anymore. I'm not doing this. So like, come check me out, type of thing. And it was so weird. And now I'm getting more used to it, but I still judge it sometimes. I'm like, I just don't want to show my face on this thing. And I know I'm supposed to. And I know someone over here is going to tell me I'm doing something wrong. And some days I don't care, because I'm like, you know what? That's also Empowered Mom. Some days we just need the freaking day off to not care and post whatever silly thing we want. And because that's also like, there's strategy. How I look at it is that there's no rules, there's strategy. Are you going to play with the strategy, or are you just going to do your own thing today? And it's funny, because I think yourself and maybe Kelsey would even tell me like, well, that might cost you, but you know what? But sometimes it's like, those are just the things I don't know. And that's what I think. If you're always willing to learn and grow, I always think you're going to succeed, because if you're always in a personal growth stage, and you're always looking at the picture going, well, there's definitely some things I don't know, but I'm open and willing to like understand and learn it. Or you hire someone. Like, if you're not going to learn it yourself, you got to find someone that's going to do it, if that's what you want, right? And that's when we talk about growth in our business, which, you know, not everybody's in that season. You have to kind of like look at the whole thing. Are you hiring the assistant now? Are you hiring a social media person? Like, what part don't you love that you would love more paying someone? Or maybe there's a volunteer, maybe there's an intern, maybe there's other ways, but are you willing to give up control over those things too? So I mean, there's like so much we could dive into that.
Oh my God. Yeah. The control was a hard one for me. So I have to like give up control over certain things like editing, etc. So that was really, really hard, because the shocking thing is, I feel like as an entrepreneur, there's only so many hours in a day, and they seem like less hours than they were when I worked for a corporation. You know what I mean? I'm like, how is it literally like, after this, I'm going to be like, I now have to make dinner. How did that happen? Like, how did this all come about? So it's weird how the time goes by differently when you're in charge of your own time and you're an entrepreneur or you're running your own business. So that like time management is a huge thing for me now, and like being really cognizant of where I'm spending the time. And then not feeling guilty for the days I don't want to show up on social, but also allowing myself the grace to keep showing up for myself when I want to. Does that make sense? So like, I get it. Like, all of a sudden the algorithm's not going to like you because you didn't show up for a day. But at the same time, like, my mental health is more important to me than the algorithm. And I think we all have to remember that it's like, don't feel guilty. Nobody cares. It's fine. Like, they missed one of your swipes today. Well, it's okay.
And that's the thing, is like, well, your business can't crash because of that. And that's a really good point too, though, is that, yes, I think social media, I think all that's great for marketing and advertising, but that's why I drive so many people to our email list, because now, if people don't know this, you own your email list. You don't own your social media.
Correct.
Social media is all going to shout it from the rooftops.
Yes.
They could cut Instagram tomorrow. They could cut Facebook. So it's like, if you're pouring your heart and soul into it, which again, as Rachel and Kelsey and other people are going to say, this stuff is important for marketing and advertising and strategy. However, but like, don't kill yourself over it, right? There's times I remember it took me like 2 hours to come up with a reel that I thought was going to be like the coolest thing in the whole world. And then afterwards, I'm like, that was sure, yes, it was cool for like a couple hundred people, and I was like, that was just, why did I waste that much time?
Waste time, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
I could have posted like a clip of that with like a little saying, and then I was like, all right. But again, right, at the time I didn't know, and at the time that's what I thought I had to do, until I'm realizing, you know, what message do I want to keep getting across, and how do I want to get that across to people, and like stop sweating the small stuff anymore. And I love learning. But yes, I think as an entrepreneur, this is my like 4th year into entrepreneurship, and I'm finally, I talk about boundaries like all day, every day to everybody, but you know, it's easier to talk to other people about it than to do it. So 2024 is my year of like real boundaries. Like I'm finally doing the things that I preach about and teach about. I mean, I've done them before, but then I lost them.
I'm the same way. Like I'll tell clients all these different things, and then I'll look at my own stuff and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't do anything I just told them to do today. Like don't, and I'll say to people, do not look at my website. Don't use me as an example at all with what I'm saying, because I don't have my own time to do the stuff that I'm telling you to do. So that's been the hardest, is to make myself my own client and follow my own advice.
I mean, there's times my husband will be walking by, he's like, was that you that just said that? Like, okay, Emily, like, when are you going to do that? But that's why I said I'm making a commitment to myself this year, 2024. Like, I'm not working harder than I did in corporate. That's just silly. And there was a one time when I first started, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, and my husband's like, no one would ever work for you. And I was like, oh, I'd be the best boss. What are you talking about? And he's like, you work at all hours, you work at everybody else's schedule, you're working on Sundays, you're working at night, like who would ever want to do that? And I was like, well, I mean, it's fine for me, like I'm totally fine. Obviously I don't do that anymore, and it's very intentional. Sure, there's a day here and there where like you just have to like, you know, get some stuff done, but you know, I think about that because eventually I will be hiring more people, and it's like I will be bringing that in. And so how am I creating the structure where this is the expectation, this is what we do, and this is what we live and breathe? No, it's not going to be working. Like the whole point was getting out of some of this corporate stuff is to not work 80 hours a week. So why would I sabotage myself? Now, anyone that's thinking about new entrepreneurship, yeah, I'm not going to say that first year isn't a little bit of the grind. Like it's not like it's sunshine and roses.
No, I think I have to like create it. I've probably cried every day since I've realized like how I want to show up in the world. Like, and then when you're growing, sometimes you have to go into your savings account. Number one. Number two, anybody you hire, they don't have skin in the game, and they're not going to care as much as you do. Nobody will, period. You just have to know that going into it. The goal is to train people. They cannot read your brain. So like, are there days where I've literally taken 8 hours to time code stuff that I could have just been like, I'm just going to edit it myself. And instead I didn't, because how are they going to learn? They can't learn unless you literally write it out. Okay, this is great, but these are my expectations. Let's take it from here to here. And so that takes time. It will take you months to train somebody, but I also don't want people to get sidetracked or overwhelmed with the idea of that, because it's like, again, remember the why. Why are we doing this? And so start to build your team. Start with a VA. Start with the little things, even outsourcing editing or outsourcing production. It's amazing when all of a sudden things are delivered to you on a silver platter and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Like, that would have taken me 2 days and you just did that in 3 hours. That is amazing. So I feel like I understand the growing pains. Like I get what that term is now. I didn't really understand what that was before this, being in this space. But baby steps become bigger steps. And it's fascinating when you keep showing up for yourself. And again, days like today where I'm just like, ugh, the rain, all the things, it's like, you know what can I do within the box, right? What can I do within the framework of today and how I feel? What are the 3 big things that I want to get done? Let's just focus on those 3 things. And that's been really helpful. Just literally taking my own advice, just like you said. Like the year of 2024 is doing the things I tell everybody else to do. Do they work? Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, totally. Well, and that's the thing. I think what I thought is I would really want to be able to speak to, you know, I've had a season over the summer. It was actually going to be intentional where I pulled back. I don't know if anyone even noticed it. Like most of the time I don't tell people the other things I do. There's like other jobs that I do, but I don't tell people that, right? But so what I decided this summer is I'm going to pull that back and see what happens. Because if I don't do that, last summer was a hustle and grind summer and I kind of hated it. And I'm like, this is dumb. Like I'm an entrepreneur. Like I created this mess. Only I can get myself out of this. And it wasn't a mess. I just overworked myself, right? And so I think this summer, you know, it was this intentional, okay, I'm going to do it differently and better. Is it perfect? Hell no. And it's not supposed to be. But like, but what can I do, especially when I start going back into bad habits or old habits, which is very likely, right? Obviously, I've had decades of that. Well, then how do I get myself back out of it? And I think that's the biggest thing too, is learn where you get kind of triggered back into some old or bad habits, and then realize, okay, but I did learn a lesson. What was the lesson? Is there any bit of that lesson I can start implementing? Maybe not today. Today might just already be like, you know, gone. Maybe tomorrow or the next week. Do I need to communicate with a partner? Do I need to communicate with an employee? Like, what do I need to communicate because my plate's too full, because I said yes too many times, because I was probably a people pleaser in my lifetime. That could have been there too. And so where can I like bring that up and then talk to people about that and say, this is what I need. You know, I think too, as women, we get a little scared to talk about our needs, but they're there. And I was just giving a talk about boundaries at a festival over the weekend. Is just because you can, you've heard this quote, this isn't my quote, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should, just because you can do it all doesn't mean you should. And really, at the end of the day, you know, even with Empowered Moms, even probably with what you're doing, where is it that you shine? You know, where do you shine? What lights you up? What fills your cup? How can you get a little more of that and then a little less of the stuff that drains you, that pulls you down, that somebody else could do, maybe not as good as you, but good enough? And again, now those of us that are in business, it's like, we don't want good enough, we want perfect. Well, first of all, there is no perfect. And second of all, says to whose extreme, like to whose expectation is this perfect? Is it yours? Because you just said, even any employee you hire is never going to do it as perfectly as you imagine in your head, but is it still going to be good? Does it represent your image? Does it represent your company? I'm looking for leaders in Empowered Moms right now. I'm putting it out there and I'm like, oh my God, this is I'm a little nervous. Like I'm gonna get some stuff off my plate, but you know what? I love mentoring people to be in a leadership role. And that only starts with allowing, right? Allowing the people to do it, giving them permission to try, and giving permission for things to not go perfectly and as planned, because they don't for me either. And I think that's the biggest thing is even as moms, is saying, you know, you don't have to feel selfish or feel guilty for wanting something of your own too. And again, like I said, sometimes it's not just business, it's moms that are finally learning how to take care of themselves for the first time in who knows how long, right? Where it's like, first of all, if anyone doesn't know this, no one's going to come and take care of you. Like, I mean, I guess maybe if you're in the hospital, okay, but let's not go there. But like, no one's going to tell you to eat healthy, and no one's going to, I mean, again, maybe your mom. Okay, fine. Two reasons, the two things might happen. But the truth is, you're in control of you. Only you can do that, right? So if you are making decisions and goals for yourself and then you're not the one doing it, well, then only you can be mad at yourself. If you're not expressing your needs or things that you need to fulfill yourself, or, you know, maybe you just need some space, and it's scary to say that. So it's teaching people and learning how to kind of get more comfortable with either our boundaries and limits, our needs and expressions. And again, like circling back to Empowered Moms, is like how to kind of not lose yourself in motherhood, because it's very easy to do. I've done it before. I've done it a few times. And again, every time I see myself kind of going there, I'm like, okay, I learned this and teach this. Like, okay, how do I get myself back out? Who do I call for help? Who's going to help me? What do I need to start a morning routine again? Like, what is it that gets me back to that part of Emily that I really love, that lights me up, that gets me excited, right? And I think that's the big thing, is that's what I really want people to walk away with, knowing that, one, there's community and support. So if anything, right, there's community and support out there. There's women like us that, again, it's not perfect. And I'm not even saying that like I'm perfect at motherhood. No, that's actually where I struggle. I'm working on my patience level. I'm working on all the other things. But it's a place where you can express things fully, not feel judged. And a lot of times people like it because it's out of their everyday norm. It's like a different group, right? And so it's new. You get to show up as like the new version of yourself, or express things that might be difficult to like close family and friends because they know you. There's emotional history there. There's all that. And so it's kind of like I feel like it's a really safe place for a lot of women to really kind of open up and come into themselves too.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. So there's a link in their bio if anybody's interested in joining any of the things that Dr. Emily had mentioned. And I know you do a bunch of other things as well. We'll probably have to go live again, maybe right before the event and talk about more stuff. Thank you so, so much for going live with me. You are amazing, and I'm so excited to collaborate with you. I can't wait for this event.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited that I was just talking to one of my friends. I'm like, I can't remember if you reached out to me or I reached to you because none of that
reached out
matters
to you.
again.
I saw one of your reels
Okay.
through another business owner
Okay.
that you had hired, the woman who has the champagne cart.
Oh yeah.
So I saw
Yes.
her reel at your event, and I was like, how do I not know this Dr. Emily lady? And I was like, I need to reach out to her and get to know more because I just loved everything that you've been doing. So keep going. You're helping a lot of people, and I know maybe you don't always get that feedback, but I want you to know that like your why is so much greater than views, clicks, and anything else. The why always has to be what you lead with, and I'm so happy that you are.
Thank you. That means a lot. As you know, as a business owner, you know that does mean a lot because I appreciate you and I appreciate you taking this time to do this with me.
Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.
You too.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Bye.
Bye.